Star Wars Maul, Shadow Lord. Such a beautiful treasure, perfectly balanced, everything timed to perfection. There were some parts that were a little bit, what's the word, not timed very well, and there were certain things here and there that might have felt predictable, but nonetheless, each part was timed well. Each thing did perfectly balanced. And the acting and the music, the action, all of it, incredible. And I'm sure you got a few interesting surprises, including from this day on May the 4th. And I kind of spoiled the surprise twice. But nonetheless, I couldn't resist, especially since Dave Filoni, you beautiful, crazy man. Thank you. Now then, let's get started on the review. Hello there, my dear friends. Happy May the 4th to you all. Sorry that it had been a little while, but life these days have a way of kicking you in the balls. But nonetheless, here we go. As you got from the intro, Star Wars Maul Shadow Lord is the name of this review of the first season we're talking about. It is an American animated TV series created by the glorious Dave Filoni for the streaming service of the Disney Plus. It is part of the Star Wars franchise, obviously, taking place after the events of the Clone Wars. And it says here it follows former Sith Lord Maul during the reign of the Empire. Sorry about the noise. Someone else is watching something. Let's see. Sam Whitwell voiced Maul repeating his role from the Star Wars Clone Wars works and other Star Wars medias, last I heard. That includes Rebels. And I think there was that video game included of, I'm not sure where. Anyway, glorious guy. Saw him first time in Star Wars Force Unleashed, which I'll get to in a moment. It says here Shadow Lord was first announced in April of last year, a year after Wilkin joined to provide insight on the character as well as his voice. Interesting. The series is produced by Lucasfilm Animation with Matt. I don't know how to explain this guy, but he was the head honcho for the head writing work, and Brian Rue as supervised director. And it looks like, let's see, Dave and the others served as executive producers. It tells, I don't know how to explain the story, but it's but the story and everything explores questions about Maul that Dave and Sam had been discussing while working on the previous series works, Star Clone Wars and Rebels, etc. The animation provided by CGC Industries and Lucasfilm Animated Film had a similar style to the Clone Wars, but it's more stylish, reflecting Maul's character and the setting of the planet Jeknex. Jane Gen X, I think his name call it. Can't explain the planet name. The first the first 10 episodes first premiered in April of this year, with two being released every week until what we have right now. And as promised, I'm a man of my word on the reviews. Let's see. Let's have a look at the producement and the market work. Let's see, development. It says here when the Bad Batch came out in about 2011 to about 2 years ago, a spin-off from the Clone Wars series came to an end. It says here supervised supervisor or something, Brian hinted that another continuation of the Clone Wars universe was in development. Interesting. During a panel selection, the 20, the anniversary, celebrating the 20th anniversary of Lucasfilm film animation at Star Wars Celebration in Japan of last year, Lucasfilm's chief creator officer Dave Filoni and animation vice president, I can't explain that word, announced the studio's next animation project to be Maul Shadow Lord, focusing on our dear friend Maul, who was introduced from the very first episode of the prequel of The Phantom Menace. Let's see, it says here Maul was originally production physically I don't know how you explain this one, but he was first played by two character works. First one was the man who did the physical action was Ray Park, and the voice actor was Peter. So I don't know how to explain it. And the guy was presumed dead for years until he was brought back in the Clone Wars and was voiced by the same man who did Starkiller, Sam Witwer, who repeat the role in the follow-up of animation series of Star Wars Rebels, and we now know what happened to him, Maul. And he also did it again in Wars story containing Solo. Spoiler alert, he was actually right on the money on that series. And the voice actor was confirmed to be returning for Maul, which, to be fair, was obvious. Let's see. And it was confirmed during the celebration panel. While working on the previous Star Wars anime series, well, Sam and Dave, the supervisor director of Star Wars in the first two seasons, discussed different ideas about Maul, and Filoni felt would be better explored in his own project. It says here he began to work on Maul after, let's see, Lucasfilm animation staff returned to work following the COVID-19 pandemic. Ooh, I don't want to go back through that prison again, especially from that experience. And was joined by many creators or something from the previous series, including Ryan as the super potential. Man, this was a lot of work. Sam was also brought into the series about a year before it was announced, so that would have been 2 years ago. Okay, that's interesting. When it was announced and was more closely involved in the development than with any of the previous series, discussing the character, reviewing the script, providing input on early animation. Sam described him as apprentices, explained that Dave created the series but had more of an oversight role when he would only be involved with a day-to-day production at rare times. A teamwork. So it seems to me you two work together very well. Well played, Sam. Let's see. Filoni is credited as the creator or co-developer with other people. Okay, that's obvious. And let's see. Ahead of the first season premiered in April of this year, after he was named co-CEO, said Filoni was our dear friend Filoni mentioned a second season was in development as we speak, which I have no doubt in many months we might get a trailer soon. All right, let's see. Just need to have a look and see what we're dealing with. Blah blah blah. Yama. Wow, there's going to be a lot of rings to read, but nonetheless, I'll take my chances. Might even take care of some of the characters. Let's see. Writing takes place around a year after Maul's defeat at the hands of Ahsoka Tano at the end of the Clone Wars, as described in the final season of the Clone Wars. This is years before Maul's story came to an end during the events of Rebels. So, to be honest, they're explaining how his end came to be. We got we got basically the beginning thanks to the prequel and maybe even a few comics, but now we haven't got the middle down completely out of the end, obviously. Very impressive. See, it tells a sequence of 10 episode stories, which this man describes as a fast paced, action packed episode. He felt Maul was the perfect character that drives us through such a story. The writers felt include homages to the classic films, which inspired inspired the Star Wars creator Dave Filoni. Oh, George Lucas. My bad. Tongue slip. Sam said the series finds Maul dusting himself off a bit following the end of the war, which kind of felt making sense, and during the beginning of the Empire's reign. Sam and the crew revive the character's previous appearances to ensure they are exploring questions about him that have not been answered before, including some that won't work or they knew the answer to, such as why as not why did Maul not reveal that his master was Palpatine was secretly Sith Lord, seemingly remaining loyal to Palpatine despite being discarded and replaced? How does a character who is from a time of knights and magic felt about the Empire sucking the magic and life and color out of the galaxy? How does he feel about the destruction of the Jedi Order, his lifelong enemy? Whoa. And he even compared his character to Joker from the DC universe, living on after the death of the Batman? Now I can understand how Mark Hamill's Joker felt. Without Batman, there was no punchline. And it kind of would make sense. Without the Jedi, there wouldn't be much of a punchline. Interesting. And how does Maul approach to training an apprentice differs from how Palpatine and other Sith have trained previous apprentices in the past? Okay. Says here Sam describes as the series has a bad guy versus worse guys. You're not wrong there. And says they would not try to redeem all. Okay, that one would be obvious. And it says here Rube said even was surprised by some of these new aspects that were discovered about the character. And it says here Sam used his Star Wars knowledge to bring the depths and the harmony to Maul. I don't know how you explain that word, but he definitely explained that he was studying this character in advance, and most likely thanks to the to when he first started to help introduce the other cast members to the franchise. It says here the series is set on the planet Check, in which let's see features a city inside of a crater. He compared it to Gotham City and Metropolis from the DC universe. Wow, impressive. Quite unusual, but impressive. With let's see, that picture back to law enforcement and, and law that formed a peaceful economy with local criminals and gangs. It also features different levels and layers like previous Star Wars cities. I remember that. Maul decided to rebuild his criminal syndicate on Jigny because it is untouched by the Empire, although the Empire is gaining power throughout the galaxy and appear in the series, though the Jedi Hunter Inquisitors said he describes them as secret mercenaries that show up out of the dark. Mercenaries would be an understatement, more like black ops units, the kind that the Empire wouldn't admit out to their own. Then again, these ones are the more serious type that only answer to the higher ups, such as Vader and the Emperor himself. Let's see. Okay, obviously Sandwich was confirmed to be repeating his role as Maul with the announcement. There's an announcement. He suggested that sound design designer Dave W. columns could have a similar role in the series, similar to how. Whoa. So this guy, he and him worked together before. And it seems like could have had a similar role, similar to how he was proxy. Holy mother of God. It was like a reunion. Can you believe it? Dave W. Collins was the buddy who played as proxy in the Star Wars Force Unleashed. Well played, man. Maybe I should read this more often. It sounds that would explain how the two of them got along very well. Ah. Further cast members were announced in January of 2026. I don't know, I can't explain her name yet, but I'll get to these people in a moment. But I knew half of these guys, including Vanessa, Star Wars legend as well. She also did work in the Clone Wars included. Don't worry, I'll get to those guys in a moment. But trust me, Steve Byrne, I think his name was, who also did Star Wars Rebels. Like I said, it's a lot of interesting works and a lot of details. I'll get to those guys soon. But I can't believe it. That that droid. Let me see. Of course. So that's the. Oh my God. Oh, you, Dave, Sam, you beautiful suckos. You sickos. I love you guys. Oh, you crazy guys. Oh, you. Man, that is such. Yes. Yes. Now, let's see. On to business. Animations and designs. As with the previous Star Wars animation series, the film was produced by CG Industries and Lucasfilm Animation and Judgment Team. Key creators return from previous works from Lucasfilms, including animation Ken. Yeah, it looks like a lot of good people came back from previous works, including those who did works included on The Bad Batch and Star Wars Tales of the Underworld came out last year included. I enjoyed the hell out of that one. And this lady, it says here, this woman, let me see. I can't see her name somewhere, but she said she adapted to improving the said to attribute it to the improvement to these challenging the crew to come out of their comfort zone and avoid becoming communist. It says here Filoni praised the team's work on saying they were actually creating cinema with new episodes. Well, you're not wrong there. You and your buddies certainly created a lot of works on that. Let's see. And obviously, the information from the animation would have been similar to the Clone Wars along with previous works. But the main one, Clone Wars, was kept in. No one could scrape that. But it's more stylish to reflect on its focus in regards to Maul and the settings of the planet. It says more edgy, more dangerous, and it kind of felt there was a Japanese unique painting in it. I think there was something like that. And Kevin and Shane and Kervin, our dear friends from the Clone Wars series, back at last. Kevin is the father of the two of the brothers, I believe they're called. So I guess father and sons work together very well. And trust me, music was top notch. Now, I'll only give the first half of the people that worked on the works, but unfortunately, you're going to have to get that in the description. Nonetheless, Sam Witwer, I believe his name was, as our dear friend Maul, a former Sith Lord from the planet Dathomir who is trying to find his place following the end of the Clone Wars. It says here Sam expressed said that the series explores a lot of questions about the character, which it did in a way, and is told from his perspective. He added that the character has re- replayed feelings but does not have the tools to express them. Wait, I think it's more repressed, I think, or something like that, but either way, does have the tools to express those, and all he has in front of them are supervillain tools. Says here, with Sam compared this character to Gollum from J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, and looks like the other guys describe Maul as a seemingly internal villain similar to Michael Myers from the Halloween franchise to Jason Voorhees. Oh yes, Sam also did work as Darth Sidious the Emperor and Maul's former master, and it looks like Sam also did the younger Savage Opress, Maul's brother. Spoiler on that. But still, the guy's a legend on that work. If it wasn't for his contribution to Star Wars before, a lot of roles would not be possible for the man. Now, so many people, so little time. I'll get I'll get to the main people, and then maybe I'll take care of one or two side characters just for the heck of it. But actually, let's take care of the ones who are introduced, like a few certain legends and people we know. Sorry. Let's see. Oh no. Don't tell me the internet. Don't tell me now. Thank you, stupid. Sorry, these internets and phones these days can be pretty slow. Alright, Vanessa? Ugh, get out of here. Huh? I can't hear a thing. That's weird. Great. Now I can't use my pronouncement anymore. Should have probably tested it out later. No matter. Gonna have to do this by hand. Or by find another one. Stupid restricted junk. Pronouncement. Ugh. Stupid thing. Pronouncing. Ah, this should. Alright, Vanessa Marshank, I believe her name was. Where's. Oh, man. This is. This is bull. That's bull. I'm definitely offended. Vanessa, well, she played as many cool characters, including one who was a love interest in regards to Kyle Katarn. And also, she was Captain Syndulla, Hera Syndulla from the Star Wars Rebels. She also repeated her character role in regards to the Bad Batch. And she was Rook, one of Maul Mandalorian allies from the Clone Wars. Let's see. AJ Lokafum has Morak. I don't know how to explain his name out, but I first saw that guy in regards to Star Wars Ahsoka. And to be fair, his character caught my interest, especially at the end of it. Long story short, he's also dead. But there was something surprising on the end of it. Something that even I'm wishing to figure out how he got something before. He was one of the Jedi hunters known as the Inquisitor, and looks like he was one of the first of the brothers. Of course, it could have been the Grand Inquisitor, but this one was probably one of the rankers. Christian, I can't explain his name out. Luke Voss, I believe his name was. A fast-talking little alien criminal criminal crime lord who betrayed Maul. It says here he used a mechanized suit to make up for his small size. And he says this guy was a classic overcompensator. I don't know how to explain. If he was on our planet, he'd be 60 years old with a guy of with a 60-year-old guy with a convertible with a 6 foot 4 foot 6 driving a convertible Ferrari. Oh man, that would be a surprise. David W. Collins. Yeah, I remember him. If he did work as proxy, then this guy played as the spy bot, an unconventional, some sort of a droid spy who served Maul. This year Collins describes the series soundtrack describes the character as a jaguar panther meets a droid meets a spider. Yeah, to be honest, it has a few crazy personalities. It purrs when it's being petted by Maul, and it had tried. And says here Combs tried various voices before settling on an homage to an actor, Peter Lorre, which is heavily. Huh. So it looks like it was a previous actor who did the work. Long dead, but interesting. Alright, let's get to you. I gotta see if I can get this pronouncement working because I can barely do half of it without screwing it up. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Pronouncing. Okay, let's see if this works for now. Let's test you out quickly before I don't. Would you get out of here?
Garnacho.
Oh, now you work. Now I feel offended and upset now. It's disrespectful machinery. Anyway, you can make up for me by giving this man's name.
Dennis Haysbert.
Dennis Haysbert. Yeah, I remember Mr. Haysbert. He did some work in previous work, such as Splinter Cell, and I also remember the 24th series, and also I believe it was Kung Fu Panda as well. And since we're getting ahead of ourselves, he played as Master Naki, a fugitive Jedi and Devon's master, who was still trying to follow the ways of the Jedi Order. It says here, Naki's I'm not sure how you explain his species, but it's a lizard-like species created for the series and was nicknamed Dino Jedi by producers. I suppose that's one way to look at it because he did kind of look like a Komodo dragon, actually, if I think about it. Then again, dragons are different. But it says here Dennis was already a big Star Wars fan and the previous animation series when he was approached about the role and said it was his destiny to play a Jedi Knight. Well, I would say Jedi Master, but I suppose his character was probably a Jedi Knight. An old friend. Seriously, what is with this thing? And I'm actually in a little bit of a hurry. All right. Your name, my dear? Come on, open up.
Gideon Adlin.
Gideon Adlin. I remember our dear friend Gideon. She did Violet from the Walking Dead video game. Such a classic work. And she was Devon, a Twi'lek who was on the run following Order 66 and is targeted by Maul as a potential new apprentice. It says here, head writer Matten said that Devon is realizing that the future she is expecting is no longer possible and needs to adapt. You can thank Maul for a little bit of that and her master. And it says here, said there is an innocence to the character. conflicted between right and wrong, while supervisor director Brian said Gideon's performance helped ground the series in reality. Whoa. Let's see. Richard Out Enmoyne. I remember him playing a few movies. I remember him in Paddington. Our dear friend Two Boots. Brendan Larson's droid partner and stands out from other droids by wearing his actual boots. Oh god, those guys were good. Hmm. Let's see. I might have enough time for one more since I kind of wasted a little time trying to get the pronouncement in. My apologies. But maybe I'll do two more just for you guys. This one is an unknown wild card, but I think I might know something about him.
Wagner Moore.
Wagner Morin. I don't know much about this guy. I'm double checking his record now. Whoa, let's see. Looks like a Brazilian kind of cat, which means this guy was very much on the unknown side. Whoa. Wagner actually played in Puss in Boots: The Last Wish as Death, that little wolf with the red eyes. The Grim Reaper, basically. Brendan Larson, a police detective on Genbanks who was part of law enforcement separated from the Empire. It says here the other one brought his character with a mix of gravity and grounded realism, which honestly I can't say I'm surprised. And with his performance, Warner was drawn to the character's relationship with his son and his struggles to balance work with his family. Yeah, can't say I'm surprised on half of them. And believe me, there are a lot of other character works, but yeah, maybe I won't be able to get all the spoilers across. But I do have another guy who I found out who surprised me. Scott Wiltshire, who did multiple works in regards to the. Hello, this is interesting. It looks like Scott did some work in regards to the Mighty Ducks, multiple characters of them, and Braun has the in the Land Before Time. Incredible. And Dave Furnman, I can't say his name, but he definitely played as Lee and many other glorious characters. And since I already spoiled, you saw him, you know him. Darth Vader was in the final episodes, right there. Sadly, there was no voice work on it, no digitalized simulation to the late James Earl Jones, God rest his soul. No word from Matt or Scott on who it is. And truthfully, a little disappointed on that subject. But nonetheless, they did do things right, proving Vader was very dangerous and very powerful, proving he's not invincible to a point, and proving he's no joke in a fight, which is obvious. No doubt we'll see him again in season 2. So, what did I think of the entire thing? Outstanding. Every episode build up was timed perfectly. The characters, from what we saw from previous works, such as the 11th brother and our dear friend the first brother, they were all, I guess you could say, redeemed, but I knew perhaps they might be able to give some clear uppers. And if there were setbacks, this series definitely proven a point, and it got half the theories confirmed. So, my opinion? Unfortunately, it's not 10 out of 10, but 9.5 out of 10. Because it's near to perfection. Near to perfection. And I understand if people does have their own opinions. If you have them, that's fine by me. But it's 9.5 out of 10 in mine, and I highly recommend it to everyone on this day to watch that series. And when the next one will be out, that remains to be seen. We'll have to wait till the celebrations come, or the Comic Con, or any other special event. But no doubt I know my people, whether it be the ones in the company and you yourselves, would be able to look for the information right now. You could be looking out, you could be hunting down that information from the medias. You could be looking at it from multiple interviews from multiple companies. They could be doing it right now and we wouldn't even notice. So, my friends, consider this my gift between me to you, and I'll see you guys soon. May the Force be with you all, and May the 4th, and may you all enjoy Star Wars to the highest content, to the highest form to your heart's content. I have spoken.